Well, hello, everybody. This is Dave Clefman with the Pastor's Vine and the Re-Inspire Network. Today, I'm excited to have Marshall Shank, who is the Director of Outreach for Proven Men Ministries. Thank you, Marshall, for joining us today.
Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, first off, why don't we just begin with you telling us a little bit about your ministry and the organization you work for?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Proven Men is an equipping ministry. I coined the term a para-partner ministry. We're not necessarily within a church, but we like to come alongside churches to be able to equip them with the tools that they need to address sexual integrity within their ministry. Oftentimes we're called the porn guys, and that's not necessarily true. We come alongside at whatever level you're at or whatever you're dealing with. Our hope and our goal is to be able to equip the bride of Christ with the tools in order to either gain or retain sexual integrity. And so that's what we do. We partner with churches, we partner with ministries, and we come alongside with our materials so that you can lead groups within your contexts.
Yeah, over the last, I would say, 20 years, I've heard more and more, I think, about people struggling with pornography, not just men, but women too. And I
Mhm.
think probably with the internet and all the way it's easy access now for pornography, what are people like? What are some numbers and statistics that really shape the church in terms of, are people viewing porn? What are some statistics that tell us that?
Right. Yeah. Well, I don't. So our ministry did a Barna Group study in 2014. So they're a little outdated. We're looking to do another one soon because people absolutely love them. But we did it with inside the Christian evangelical world. So if you identify as an evangelical Christian, you were studied, and most people say this is conservative, but our study said 97% of Christian men have looked at porn, which I think is the most staggering number. Sometimes we hear statistics and it's just kind of numb in our mind.
Hmm.
And I don't know how many, Christian men in the world or what 97 looks like, but you can imagine how hefty that is. And another staggering number, 37% of those Christian men look at porn several times a week. So you're dealing with men who claim that they're living within the power of the resurrection, that can't get past this sin, and so insofar as they struggle with it on a weekly basis, which I think is absolutely phenomenal, and I think it's a sin that nobody talks about. It's a shamed sin that nobody speaks on, and so it never gets addressed. And now we have these statistics out that are horrifying. 55% of married men view porn at least once a month. Jesus said that if you even look on a woman lustfully, you've committed adultery in your heart. So 55% of men cheat on their wife
Hmm.
12 months out of the year with multiple different women, depending on what they're viewing. And that's what we're here for. That's what these statistics are staggering. We want to address that within the bride of Christ, within inside the walls of the church, so that they have the accountability they need to be able to find freedom. So.
Yeah, and the ministry I work with, the Re-Inspire Network, I deal a lot with pastors, and so I want to, first of all, provide resources for pastors to help the people in their church,
Mhm.
but even just as much, I want to help pastors. I mean, I don't know the latest statistics, but I know that there are pastors who even struggle with this, and I think it becomes, it's kind of like the slow fade, that song. I mean, I think it starts slow and it's more of curiosity, and a lot of pastors it grows into something that's much worse. What would you say to a pastor? I mean, what could a pastor himself or herself do if they're personally struggling with porn? Like, what would be something that you could share to help them?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we work alongside different organizations that shepherd pastors in this area, and they've brought us in to be able to discuss what it looks like to do this. The reality of a pastor is different than a reality of a congregation member.
Hmm.
And that breaks my heart personally. That's something I've become passionate about. If a pastor in Florida had an affair with one of his congregation members, and the New York Times wrote about it, Chicago wrote about it. That's in Florida,
Hmm.
right? If you or I, if somebody who wasn't a part of a church leadership, one of your congregation members was to commit adultery, it would only go as far as the community. But you're written about in New York. And that's a devastating loss for men
Hmm.
of God. And we're herald, we are charged by the scriptures to be above reproach. So it's not that we have any excuse. We can't complain about the fact that this has happened. That's what we are charged with. That's what God has ordained us. But the issue is men and pastors' women have turned to, they've concealed their sin.
Hmm.
And we're also promised in Scripture that your sin will find you out. And it's a matter of time. And what happens when we conceal that sin? You're right. It's a slow fade. It gets worse and it gets worse and it fleshes itself out. Right? That pastor didn't start with just having an affair with a woman. It
Right.
started somewhere else.
Hmm.
A story that's not talked about. And so, what we recommend here at Proven Men, we don't believe that you can find healing apart from the power of Jesus Christ and apart from networking with other proven men, i.e., accountability. So I understand you're not necessarily allotted to be able to stand in front of your congregation and say, this is my big sin, because you're going to lose your job, 9 times out of 10. But there is men in your life who care about you and love you past you're supposed to be perfect, that are
Yeah.
willing to walk you through this stuff. So we recommend that highly, and we recommend our study, obviously, to be able to do that as well.
Now, this ministry, is it confidential in the sense of if you're a pastor even and there is a proven men group meeting at another location, I mean, is there do any man or woman, do they feel safe in these groups or this ministry?
Yeah, so I had said this before, we brand ourselves as a sexual integrity ministry for that purpose right there. If I stand up in front of a congregation, I'm like, all right, men who struggle with pornography, your church would be perfect. But if I say, hey, who wants to be sexually integrous?
Yeah.
Hands, like, I mean, you can get wives on board with that. Like,
Yeah.
if I say we're the porn guys, wives are not going to allow their husbands to go. Pastors' wives are not going to allow their husbands to go. But man, if we're heralding sexual integrity, if this is something that like our church is going to take up, well, now every single man, young and old, is going to want to be there because that's something honorable. That's something to back behind. Another thing too is we do one-on-one groups. So I had said before that we usually do a small group, 6 to 8, so you're able to be honest. A pastor's not the first week. It's tell your story. What are you struggling with? How are you struggling? A pastor's not necessarily going to be able to have the freedom to be able to stand in front of a group and do that. So we have created materials to be able to help with one-on-one walking through our study. Our study is a 12-week study, every day for 12 weeks. And then once a week, you meet with, in this case, a network partner, a mentor. You can Skype a mentor in Oregon
Oh,
that's
great.
happening right now. And so, yeah, we really want to be able to mobilize that and be able to equip these men to be able to find that security. And I think every man who's in the ministry can probably pinpoint at least one guy who'd be willing to do that.
I have some friends internationally, pastors in different countries, especially Latin America. Is this ministry available in Spanish? Just a side note, just curious.
Working on it,
Okay.
interestingly enough. Yeah, we get emails every single day from somebody with revision ideas.
Hmm.
Spanish is a huge one that we're looking into. The front cost of that is, crazy. So being able to find and being able to support that with, right mind and being able to be, frugal with our cash to be able to, project ourselves in the future. That's the idea right now. But we do have somebody who's willing to write it in Portuguese and Spanish,
Oh,
which is
great.
interesting. Yeah,
Be
just
great.
recently.
Yeah, like I was in Brazil, and that would have been something. Portuguese would have been helpful there.
Yeah.
Okay, so say I'm a pastor and I want to start a group in my church. What steps do I need to take to do that?
First, email me. So there's a lot to show you as a pastor of how we can equip you. We've got a church portal that you only get private access that I would love to Skype and walk you through. So you can email me at marshall@provenmen.org to get the conversation started. Another really easy way to try to step into our ministry, see if it's for you, see the outlook of things. Go to our website at provenmen.org and check it out. Check us out. And email me. And I would love to start the conversation with anybody who would be interested, whether it's personal, you're a pastor who struggles, and be mindful. I've been doing this for a while now, and this is something that's not new to me. This is why I'm doing this. You're not alone in your struggle. You just can't remain hiding anymore. So be mindful of that. But yeah, anything that you want to learn about us, I'm happy to walk you through it. I'm happy to show you the ins and outs. But you can find most stuff on our website.
Now, is Proven Men an independent ministry? I mean, is there an affiliation like independent ministry? I mean, is there an affiliation like, for example, with the Southern Baptist or with Liberty University, or is it completely independent? So in other words, could any church or denomination really, and you guys are in Lynchburg, right, Virginia?
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
you could be anywhere in the country, really, right?
we're everywhere in the country. Yeah, from California and Maine, we've got churches from Reformed theology to Arminius theology
Okay.
to seminaries from the Catholic Church. Really, if you believe that the only way that you can find true lasting change is through the power of Jesus Christ, we'll work with you. You might not agree with some stuff in our study, but we've really tried to walk down the center line, really to be so everybody can come in on this idea around sexual integrity. So we've done revisions for some folks when it comes to theology if they want to teach from it. But yeah, most of the time you can find you can find healing in it if you believe in the power of Jesus. So
That's awesome.
which is interesting. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, Marshall, I appreciate your time today. I think the last thing I would ask you is if someone's watching this right now
Mhm.
and they need some hope because maybe they're a Christian, they're a believer, and every other aspect of their life they feel like they're doing pretty good with that, but they are struggling. They just have a real difficult time with pornography and that whole life. What would be some things you would encourage them with today? What would you say?
First, your worth is found in the cross of Jesus Christ and in the resurrection. First and foremost, Satan is really good at drawing that natural self to works based. Christ calls you to be yourself and to be vulnerable in that. You can't do it on your own. You've never been able to do it on your own. You're no match for the powers of hell. Jesus Christ has already done it. So if you're struggling today, you watched porn last night, your wife doesn't know about it, you're leading a ministry or whatever that looks like, you're a teenager, you need to know that your worth is found on the cross of Jesus Christ and in the resurrection. What a great, right after Easter to remember that. And so really rest in that. Any second of the day that you start to think that you have the power to be able to change your circumstances apart from Jesus Christ, you need to come back to the gospel, man. Come back
Mm-hmm.
to the gospel. One thing that I always teach too, secondly, that it's kind of hard to, take an hour-long sermon and drop it down
Right.
into a sentence, but the ultimate essence of evil, I believe, is choosing anything above God. Faith is truly believing that Jesus Christ is supremely valuable and having Him supremely treasured in your life. John Piper says, "Don't reduce faith to affirmations of sentences that Satan himself believes are true."
Mm-hmm.
That's a powerful
That's good.
statement. Jesus is the Son of God, and saying that is not faith. Believing that He's better than everything else is faith. Evil is choosing anything other than Him. And so just keep that in mind and herald Christ as supremely valuable and supremely treasured in your life. And you only do that by seeking a personal relationship with Him. That's it. You can't do that on your own.
That's good.
You don't have the capability. And secondly, get help. Get off. Quit being shame stapled to the pews, as our executive director coined the term. Quit.
Yeah.
Like, there's power in the name of Jesus Christ, and there's power in the community. James tells us, confess to one another your sins and pray for one another that you may be healed.
Yes.
You have to confess to one another
good.
to be. You have to pray with one another to be healed. You can't do it on your own. And let us help. At Proven Men, that's what I'm here for. That's what I do. That's what I personally feel called to. So, yeah, reach out to us. Let us help.
I think, as you said, getting through the Easter season, I was thinking about what Christ did on the cross and all the things that He suffered and He went through. And then we look at that glorious culminating ending where we see Him rise from the grave and we see this empty tomb. And, one of the things I think about is that the tomb really isn't empty. It's full of hope. And what
Yeah.
Jesus did, at the cross gives us hope. And I think people need to hear that there is hope no matter what you're going through, no matter what challenge you're faced with. There's definitely hope, especially in an area of sexual integrity. There's definitely hope with a ministry like what you guys provide. I love what you're doing, and I think it's something that people can really grab onto and have hope.
For sure, yeah. And what kills me is that people still live their life as if they're the only one out there that struggles with this. That drives me insane. as a guy who's been doing this for a while now, it just drives me nuts. Like, if you're a pastor and you're afraid to reach out to us because you're afraid of what, like, trust me, I've been doing this long enough to know, like, anything that you could tell me that you struggle with, I've heard.
Yeah.
I've heard, and I've had to pray about, and I've had to pray about in this office of just crying with men. Like, I've heard it. Like, it starts with confessing with one another. And I'm a random guy in Lynchburg, Virginia, that you can Skype just like this and be able to pour your heart out. And I am here to give you the help that you need. Proven Men is here to get you the help that you need within confidentiality to save your heart and your soul, man. Like, let's get you healed. So,
well, Marshall, could you again give the website, maybe some contact information for you, and let people know how they can get in contact with you?
Yeah, so www.provenmen.org. All of my contact information is there. Right on the front page, there's an encouragement series that you can sign up for. You immediately get an email from me, and I'll be in touch with you throughout. If that's the way that you want to go, we've provided videos and encouragement series there to sign up. If you want to just email me directly, I'll absolutely love that. My email is marshall@provenmen.org. So just put Marshall with 2 L's at provenmen.org. And if you forget that, check on our website. It's there as well. I've got the mustache. So
the mustache man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't want to put you on the spot, and hopefully I'm not, but anybody who's watching, I would love, could you just pray as we close for anybody out there who's watching? Would you mind doing that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Father, I thank you for this opportunity, and I thank you. Actually, I just want to go ahead and pray for every single man that's going to be watching this. I pray that you would open their hearts, that they would listen through, that they would come to a place right now in their life that they would say enough is enough, and I'll do whatever it takes.
Yes, Lord.
And that starts by just emailing us or finding a system to be able to address this issue within their life. But more than finding freedom and sexual integrity, I pray that they find their supreme value and supreme worth and supreme treasure in you, Jesus Christ. And that's it. That's it. That's it right there. That they would fully, they can go through our 12-week study, but if they don't understand the gospel more, it was a waste of their time. And so, Father, I pray that right now that you would start softening and preparing their heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ, that they would get it. Finally, they would get it. So, Yahweh, you're good and you're awesome, and we can't even comprehend that. And I pray that your majesty within our lives would be glorified above everything else, that your power on the cross and in the resurrection will be magnified above everything else, and that the joy of the Christian life would just be so real and evident that your name will be glorified above every single else. And that's our hope, and that's our prayer. That's why we do what we do. And you're great. We love you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Well, thanks, Marshall. I just want to take a moment and thank you again. Appreciate your time for talking to us today, and hopefully I can get to the point where I can grow a mustache like that. Probably not.
It's got to persist. It's long suffering. It's fruits of the Spirit, right?
All right. Well, thanks again for your time, and best wishes to Proven Men.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, man.
Okay. Bye-bye.